Hello, everybody. It is Thursday afternoon, just after 2:30, when I always show up a little bit and just say hello. And I hope you are having a fabulous week this week. The sun is shining here beautifully in Victoria, British Columbia, and we are all just soaking it in and getting outside as much as possible before the rain may come again in these beautiful spring conditions. So I hope that you are able to also enjoy the sun and get out for those long endurance experiences. And that's what we're talking about today. So I am Tennille Hoogland. I am the creator of this beautiful group of athletes thriving in perimenopause and beyond. If you're coming on and just have a chance to sit with me for a minute, please do. Because how this works is I give you a really short little snippet on some thinking around how do we come into and how are we being athletic, and how do we apply some of the science that we're learning and as we go through changes within our body. And so here it is. We're talking about endurance, and I'm going to go through it by mindset, nutrition, training, recovery. And when I was thinking about the mindset one, I was like, well, what is it about endurance that why is it that we love it? And it seems that it comes, it's almost like we're born into a culture of endurance. And I just think of all of the longer efforts and we like to go long. If I see women on the start line for the Element race team, and when we show up, there's a lot fewer women showing up for crit races as there are for the Grand Fondos. And so it's, here is where it's part of our culture. So there's this mindset appreciated that, yeah, we do long stuff. We like to go long. So that's what we do. And so it's in part that it's just what's so. And what if we saw a whole other way and saw more women in those power sports? Would that start to shift? And we are starting to see some of that shift. But so it's one angle of it that it's like, well, it's part of us and it's what we love and it's what we do. But is it possible to see another angle of it? I also want to acknowledge that there's a physiological reality that is built into every female, and that is called the ability to hold a pregnancy for 9 months is an endurance event. And that is a really just that physiological ability to do that lends us to a whole being of, I'm an endurance athlete, because think about what's occurring and what could occur in that state. Now, do we all need to, some of us haven't had or wanted the option of having a baby or holding a pregnancy, and maybe there's reasons why we couldn't or we could, but in the we have that in a genetic makeup at the beginning, and hopefully for women that want to get pregnant can hold on to that baby for 9 months. And so that's one piece of it. Kind of stumbled through that one, but let me tell you, let's go into other elements of it. Nutrition. Why is it that we're so good at endurance from a nutrition standpoint? And we know this thing called, or maybe we don't know, but it's called fatty acid oxidation. And what that means is that females have a preference to burn fat as a fuel source. And we have a harder time, especially in perimenopause and postmenopause, going into those glycogen stores and getting it out. Like, we don't react as fast, and we have a harder time saying, oh, look at all that fuel in the muscle. Let's go for that. Let's break that down. It can be super powerful and have that quick and reactive speed and energy available to us. I haven't really ever read exactly what that is. Like I think of these, like I think of it in like terms of like, oh, our body is like saying, oh yeah, I want that. The cells are going, yeah, I want that. But then the female cells are going like, well, yeah, but we got this other stuff. That's how I think about it. But I'm sure that it's not actually how it works, but that's how I can explain it. So this is in part why, we have a harder time just coming into that power, coming into that force, because our body actually is just like, we have to train it. We really, really have to train it. That's why we, are emphasizing lift heavy. That's why we're emphasizing sprint interval training. That's why we emphasize things like high intensity interval training. And because then it's saying, oh yeah, no, look at body, you got to keep it going. Because we have a preference for fat, we have the ability to hold out endurance because of that preference. And we don't want to lose that ability to still say, hey, I've got power. I've got something else going on. I can keep going like this. There's another nuance to it that I wanted to share too, is that when we look at research and when we're looking at this data, I want us to always keep in mind that the individual matters, and I'm saying really as like a very general statement that, we like to burn fats. We prefer fatty acid oxidation. But if we look at the unbelievable research on metabolic health, we're getting really so much better at understanding that it's actually not everyone, and certainly not all females, that are in that position that they are preferring fatty acid oxidation. And why? It's because diet does and nutrition does matter. And so while we say that, I want us to start to think about what are the tools? How do we come into an understanding? How do we support our body to really take on that ability to last in those endurance state? And I'm talking about endurance. I can be just talking about like going for hikes in zone 2. Are we actually utilizing our fats? Or are we already burning our carbohydrates when we don't need to? And this is the point, and this is the individualization that is super interesting. It's like, yes, in general, females prefer this, but are you preferring it? And that's the question I want you to ask, is that we're prone to want to doing endurance, but it might not be that we're actually using our nutritional our choices to actually support that as well. So there's an integration there that we can think about. From a training perspective, I already mentioned it, we have to work darn hard to keep up that power, to bring in force. And, just watch any sprinter. It's just so annoying with my husband. He can sprint up a hill. He can just crush me up a hill. No matter how much more time I spend in the gym than he does, like his power, he's just been built like a sprinter. And so we have some of these tendencies, both in an individual, but also from a male and a female perspective. So it's also why we need to be pushed to not just do the things that we love and go along and have a tendency to gravitate toward that goal, but put yourself into a situation where you need to do speed work, where you need to and want to lift heavy, or that you can take on those hard challenges because they are so valuable. When it comes to recovery, I think that there's the flip side of endurance that I just wanted to talk about, and that is, let's think about that when we are going long, that is bringing up our cortisol, and that we really do need to recover. It doesn't sometimes feel like, if you are comparing that really long effort to that high intensity, high, concentration sort of event, training session, whatever it might be, that you need the same. But let me tell you, you do. And it's not always about how much grit you had to pull through and how much you had to push through, pain and lactic acid and all those things. And you're just thinking about, oh, but it hurt so much. And I didn't, or, I sometimes hear my athletes, yeah, but it was, I think it was so easy. But your body is working really hard actually to do some other stuff that's really phenomenal in that aerobic state. And you still need to recover from it. So not to forget or not to demean, all the work that we do, and to keep in mind that there's such incredible potential there. So just to summarize, when we think of, and what I want to encourage you all to do and take on, is think about how it is that we've built in to our days and to our abilities, both the variability of our training experiences, and have we dosed it correctly for ourselves, both from a nourishment perspective of what we love to do, going long or, pushing it hard, with the other side. We need both. We absolutely need both pieces to have that full metabolic health. And it comes into so many realms, and athletic performance. We need both, and to have that variability. I hope this is helpful. I hope that you enjoyed this quick little summary and feel motivated to keep pushing and find challenges that stretch you. Have a fantastic rest of the day, and I will catch you guys soon.